back to the first Tailosive EV podcast of 2021. We did it, ladies and gentlemen. We're here.
Yeah, Elon, I'm sorry. I know you're the richest man in the world right now, but I have something much more important than you. All right, talk to you later, Elon. Bye.
Man, Nick has got some friends in high places.
Yeah,
I
got some high and friend places. Wait.
Hey.
You ever tried DMT?
You know, I have not.
Jamie, pull that up for me.
Oh, well. How are you guys?
Man,
feeling about the
so
EV
long
universe?
Since we've talked. I'm
Don't
so excited.
stop before you even pull that joke.
We have not talked about EVs since last year. It's
Wow.
It's been way too long. Way too long.
It's January,
so
as
much.
recording this is January 9th, and I still did not get my beta update yet.
No.
I got the UI.
How dare they be safe about it?
Yeah,
They should roll that out to everything
They
instantly.
should roll it out to me because I paid for it. But
No one else did.
I got the UI update. Yeah, no one else did. Only me. The UI is nice. It's. I'm not used to it, to be honest. The UI is too drastically changed. I don't like how the car now takes that portion takes over more than what it did before.
I've heard mixed opinions on it. I've heard some people like it and some people hate it.
I'd rather have more map. Always give me more map. I like more map real estate, and I don't like that, and I don't like how they moved everything to the very top. It feels modern and clean in the sense that, it's a fresh new look, and I can only imagine it's to align itself with the inevitable modern Cybertruck UI that we'll get, which is cool too. But
right,
I would like to see customizable options for us. That's it. You know, let me adjust the way we can adjust when we do split screen on the iPad. Let me adjust how much of the car I want it to be,
like that. Yeah.
Cap it off at a certain point. You can't go any smaller than this, and cap it off at a certain point with taking up like half or something. But
just iPad split screen, you can have like that little middle thing, and you can just drag it.
That was literally what I
just. That's what you meant.
Said.
Okay, I thought you meant like digging into the settings and saying 25% or whatever.
I'm more curious if you want it like the iPad, where it's like specifically a narrow version or a split down the middle version, or do you want it to be like a desktop computer where you can adjust it infinitely?
That one.
Like even 1 pixel
if I'm being
wider.
honest, that one. But if I'm taking it a step further, I actually want Tesla's version of CarPlay. That's it. I want windows. I want multiple windows that will take up quadrants, and I can dictate how much of the quadrant I want it to hold up. I don't need a full third to tell me how fast I'm going. Give me my dedicated fast, and right there I appreciate in park that it takes up most of the screen. Oh, the door's open. You can now just click they simplified how you can open things, which is cool. Mm-hmm. In park, that makes sense. But when I'm driving, I don't really necessarily care the same way. If you're going to give me the same UI I have right now about neighboring vehicles that the sensors are picking up. If you're going to update the UI about the vehicles around me, we're having a different conversation. But as it is right now, you're taking up so much space just so I can see a car to my left and right. Even though I know you can see more than that, you're only going to show me my left and right, and just within a 1-lane perimeter. It's a bit overkill, but I'm not going to complain. Early adopter problems. I'm very lucky.
With the FSD beta, it probably makes more sense for that to take up more space, because it can see a lot further, and it can pick up all the different road markings and stuff. Really cool to watch people's videos of that. But yeah, I agree.
Which is why I'm saying that, like, I didn't get the beta yet. I don't see it aligning with what I'm patient.
But the good news is Tesla has
every morning.
The good news is Tesla does very patient. Yeah. The good news is Tesla listens to what most people request, and I think just not even a year ago, our biggest requested features for the Model 3 are all basically adopted now. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of interesting. I think back when Randy and I did our collab video, we were like Chrome delete, the heat pump and the powered liftgate, and now that's all built in. That's all become a thing now. So it's like they clearly watch just our video
and nothing else.
And given they're listening to the podcast, then yeah, I think I'm with you. Having an infinitely variable adjust rate, even if I want to swing the car visualizations to be 80%, of the screen, I would be for it, because there's a lot of situations I don't need the map at all.
Yeah.
You know, if you're driving around town and you know exactly where you are, you don't need turn-by-turn navigation. Just, let me just see what the car can see. That's more interesting to me. I don't need a big map of my neighborhood I've lived in for a decade. Yeah. You know, just in certain situations, let me just drag the middle and take up the whole thing. And in others, you can, when you really need to see the maps and the step-by-step navigation. So I would say, step up from iPad OS multitasking. Don't just have
I defaulted on iPad
view.
Because it just reminds me of iPad, but absolutely give me Mac OS.
I mean, it looks like an iPad.
Modularity where I can just do more with the screen. And honestly, I think it's coming.
They're listening.
They're listening, and I'm not the only one who has that complaint. I just wanted to, on this show, voice it from the offset to say that I am also with everybody else saying the same thing. Just because it's like, I see what you're doing, but I'm in that weird transition phase where it's like but I don't have the need for all that stuff yet. So let's, let's get right there. And the rumors about them, like, I guess, are working with Apple about bringing support.
Music integration.
Yeah, music integration.
Yeah.
Hopefully tells me, opens the door for more collaboration.
Please.
And that's always a good thing. Collaborate.
Take the meeting, Tim. Take the meeting.
Please take the meeting.
Yeah. Well, can we address the $42,000 elephant in the room?
Oh. Why?
Just standard conversation. Elon, what the heck? Why is he lying to us? I don't like it when he tweets things that they don't do.
Darn.
Makes me mad.
Oh.
But
why? Touche. I like that.
What'd you guys think? I did not see that coming at all. Mostly because the CEO said that they had no intentions on bringing it to market, and then a few months later brought it to market.
Yeah, I think that just
that
shows
threw me off.
How fast Tesla is willing to say, okay, that's not the right way. We're going to do something else. And Tesla's never been one, and SpaceX as well. They've never been companies that their culture is we have to stick to what we said. They're not going to, do something even though it doesn't make sense just because they said they were going to do it. They're the company to say, oh, sorry, we know we said that. We know we said there'd be a $39,000 Model Y. That's $42,000 now, and we're gonna do it now, even though we said we weren't gonna do it. And is it that big of a deal? And it's kind of hard to plan around as a Tesla fan. Like, when's the right time to buy a Tesla? You can't say, after the fourth big cycle, we get the major cycle, the super cycle, like iPhones are. It's just the right times to buy it whenever you have the money to buy it. And
when you're ready.
This is definitely not Apple in that sense. You can't just plan. Oh, I'm just gonna wait till October.
Yeah.
I feel bad for people who were hoping for a cheaper Model Y to come out in November, December, but then it never happened, so they just opted for the long range and dual motor, and then find out, a week or so into 2021, oh, there's the cheap one I was waiting for. Oh, well, I guess I bought the better car, and I'm guessing that's what Tesla's approach was trying to be, is like, try to help people justify that, no, you need the long range, no, you need the dual motor, you need to spend the extra money, and then they do, and then after the fact, oh, I guess I could have waited. In hindsight,
I feel like
you could have got a cheaper one.
I don't know if they are playing 5D chess the way like it's a mastermind. I think, but I wouldn't go as far as saying it's reactionary either. I think I think sometimes the simplest conclusion might be that's what it is in regards to cost. What I do feel is that whatever Elon says, I don't take it seriously. I haven't for a long time.
That's
I don't now.
Generally a good idea.
So when he's like, "Oh, Cybertruck is launching," it's like, "No, it's not. It's going to be at this price." No, it won't. You're going to have this by Christmas. No, I didn't. So I hear him talking as, it's almost like I hear him talking as a fan, and in him trying to influence it, but what we as a business, even though he's CEO, he is not. It is public, so he is not the end all be all deciding factor. He is just its face of the company. You know what I mean? It's not. He doesn't make all these decisions the way we think. Like, oh, but he's the CEO. No, he has to answer to people just like he's an employee at the end of the day, like everybody else. That's the trade-off that you get, and that means I think when he tweets something, he's talking from the stance as a fan who created the thing, but a fan nonetheless. The business side of it and the enthusiast side of it are water and wine or water and oil water and oil. You know, it's just it's different, and I'm sad it's not 39 because I obviously would love to see a cheaper anything at any point. I'm not surprised.
I think it's a little unfair because when the Model Y was unveiled, autopilot was not included back then, and that was a $3,000 add-on. And also, when they first announced it, like the default color was still black, and it came with 18-inch aero wheels. Now, you know, the range is 14 miles better than they thought. It comes with the pearl white, it comes with 19-inch Gemini, and it includes autopilot. So it's $3,000 more, but at the same time, what they were promising for 39 was much worse than what they're now promising for 42. So I
hear you.
Yeah.
I hear you. I wish we could tell them like this is what you said and like hold them to it, but I think the world of automobiles in general is not as black and white like that, especially when it's a hybrid of automobile and tech, and their business is pure tech. I think. I wish what it is I wish that we could, you know, be in one of these meetings and just see why do you come to this conclusion? Because it's easy for us to speculate when it comes to a computer, an iPad, or whatever, and be like, oh, well, that actually makes sense. And it seems a little bit easier because maybe the cost is so much lower. But when we're talking tens of thousands of dollars, like that's real money that's being moved around, and I think they have to take these decisions. Well, I don't think they have to take these decisions a lot more seriously because this is people's like this is real big money. It's not I'm out $500. All right, no, this is tens of thousands, and it's a deciding factor of like should I get this one or this one? And this is where I think it's a bit unfair because that monopoly mentality is like, well, we can afford to kind of make people, and it's just like, well, I'm ready to buy it now, and it's you wouldn't have this issue about all right, I'm gonna go to this dealership and look at this car. This one has the pickup truck, the part of the bed included, and it's a little bit easier to make your decision right then and there and say, oh, I'm gonna wait for next year's model when it's really not gonna be that much different. But this one with the tech, it can make a difference, a very big difference. Right. If I would have waited a little bit longer, USB-C, internal upgrades and stuff, all that does play a factor. It's not a deal breaker, but it plays a big factor in deciding. And that's where I think
because you keep cars a lot longer.
Absolutely. So I think it's unfair that you just we're just gonna change it out loud when you've already given the expectation to people who are truly in the market about buying something and you're good making these types of changes. I wish they could be held more accountable that way. But this is also saying that like we're getting our sources from Elon, and like, but you're the CEO. But he's not always that.
He's unreliable.
He's not making that decision, and I'm just not.
His
shocked.
accuracy percentage went down.
Put that on Apple Track or whatever.
Yeah, Elon Musk as a leaker. It is funny though when they announced something that Elon was like literally on the record saying under 250 miles is too low.
Yeah. And
is unacceptable. And then they, like a year later, are like, okay, 244, good enough.
So close,
like,
though. I mean,
so is Elon not okay with that?
Is it just the number, or is it the actual use case that they're going after? Like, 244 is so close to 250. It's like 6 miles. In actuality, is that extra 6 miles really going to make or break anything? Mm-hmm. No.
That's like, 250 mint condition, not going over 60 miles per hour.
Yeah.
And you'll get that for about a couple months, and then it drops. And then you'll never even get that either. So all these things, it's oh, what type of gas mileage does it get? It's like, well, how fast are you going to be driving? How much are you revving? Like it's the same thing, except with batteries, it's you'll never reach that private. There's only one time I got 320 was the something whatever it was above 3. Only one time I got that. I charged 200% once, and it was within the first week. And I saw it, and I drove about 60. It's like, yeah, this was about right. But to your point, Nick, I don't let it go to 0. What is 6 miles at this point? I don't let it go to 0. I get okay. I'm about in the 20% range now's a good time, and I religiously charge it at 80 when I'm gonna commute. And right now it's probably sitting at 50%, and I'm like, oh no, I'm good. It's fine. But I don't 80% to 20%. So really, I give myself 60% range. So you do the math on like, oh, well, what would that equate to? But I'm not doing 60 miles. I'm doing at least 70, and I cap it at 75. Right. So even then, and then if I'm stopping go traffic. I'm revving. I'm not revving, but the equivalent of revving. I'm, really accelerating a lot. And so it's minute when it comes to miles like that. Longevity is, I think, more important. I think if you're gonna say nothing lower than 250 is longevity of holding this car for years and years and years, and it's gonna, decrease in battery size as such. I would be more concerned that. The longest range gives me the longer battery life of being okay enough from A to B, but minor. It's all minor stuff. We experienced the most biggest hit within the first couple years, and then after that, it kind of plateaus.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and 7-seaters.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
When I saw that tweet
fit in the front seat of a Model 3. There's no way I'm sitting in the third row of a
yesterday
Model Y.
When I saw the tweet.
I'd love to see Nick to sit in this third row.
I want him to be alive.
I just want to see an attempt. I want to just take a picture and see what it would look like if Nick tried to sit in the third row of a Model Y. It'd look like the toy car they sell. Like, probably. Could Nick's head look over the entire glass top of the vehicle?
Like this.
His whole head is out.
So I would be scrunched this way, but there's also like no leg room. So I don't know what I'd be doing with my legs. I don't know.
That's what I can't understand about any of the pictures I've seen posted online of the third row. It's like it looks like there's literally no leg room. Like your feet are just on the floor and your knees go straight up. So I'm like, unless you're a baby, I don't really know. I told in my video, no one should buy the 7-seater. I don't care who you are. If you do,
I'd love to come sit
because
in
you have kids.
Take that picture.
If you do, let us know. But if you have kids, that's a very short-term vehicle because they won't have to get very old for them to not fit back there anymore.
If you have
and
lots of
shockingly,
kids.
They still put third row USB-C charging.
I saw.
I don't know where, but it's listed on the website. I'm like, so are your 4-year-olds charging their phones or iPads back there? I mean, okay, but
when they said,
I think they qualify
7-seater is now available, I was so close to tweeting, why?
Or how? Yeah, I think they qualify in Canada for a certain tax break if it has 7 seats, which is why I think
thank God for Canada, eh?
Yeah, it makes no sense to me. The last time I was in a Model Y, I was thinking about the 7-seater, so I was really paying attention to it because I was getting in the back and I was looking behind me and I was like, no, how would you? No. How is this possible? And I just got out of the car and I was like looking at the back half and I'm like, there's like this much space behind the second row. And I guess that on the 7-seater, the second row is on a rail system, so it can scoot up, which helps a little, but even then, I mean,
but nobody has legroom.
I know that most third rows are not comfortable, but I have been in like a full-size SUV and been uncomfortable in the third row, and that is not a full-size SUV, and that is like the opposite. It's funny to me that they have adjustable headrests. Yeah. Like, how much extra headspace is there? Like an inch to the... There. So much more roomy. Like,
thank God. Moving the second row forward still ain't gonna do nothing for Nick's neck. He's still gonna be back there.
But that 1 inch of extra...
That's the thing.
head support. That'll fix it all.
That 1 inch. I think the glass roof is your headrest. That's
Pretty
what
much.
your head's going to be against. So I need to see some people in it outside of just the, fisheye ultra wide shots
right.
they posted. It's like, look how big it is back there. And I'm looking at the website and I'm looking at people's
telephoto
comments.
lens out, get in there, and let me see.
The comments in there are like, oh, most third rows aren't very roomy. It's just meant for kids. And, some people with kids will use that. I'm like, you have not been in one. All right. I can tell the people looking at these pictures and defending it have not been in the back of a Model Y, because if they had, they'd understand my pessimistic viewpoint of it. Even with the second row railing, it's very small people, very small. And usually kids like that are going to get bigger and older fairly quickly. So it's not going to work well for them. But okay, I guess it's out. I'm curious to see what a Model Y standard range would be like with the 4680 cells, though, now that they've convinced themselves they're willing to go
There's a thought.
standard.
Yeah.
Like how much range improvements can they get with the updated cells, which I guess we got to get excited for 4680s in the Model Y, because that's something we are getting this year, unlike the Cybertruck. So no. Yeah, but we got Giga Berlin going online probably in the next few months, and then by the end of the year, Giga Texas, and then we can actually see what the 4680s are like in the real world, which is cool. So
I'm really excited about Giga Berlin. And worried.
That's good.
They're going to have that little park thing on the roof. That's going to be where they're going to hold all of their events. The renders showed like a little employee lounge on the roof. Like, I want to visit that one day.
I legitimately had a dream I was visiting Giga Berlin.
Ooh. Was it muddy or was it all nice?
Oh, it was all furnished and complete. It had like a public area you could walk in and look at the, kind of like touristy factories with the glass windows, and you can see all the cars being built. But they have, yes. I've been to that several times. The Jelly Belly factory, kind of like that, except that they have like a food court that's all Tesla themed and stuff.
Actually, I was like,
Jelly Belly.
Yeah, because that's right by family's house. That's right there.
I went there
to
2 years ago, I think.
I went there about 4 years
it's
ago.
fun.
I almost go.
Man,
whenever
okay.
I go up there, it's almost like an annual trip. It's like, all right, guess we're going to Jelly Belly.
They get
Giga
free
Belly.
samples. Woo!
Giga Belly.
Giga Belly.
Giga Belly.
That's what
like
Tesla's going to make next. Yeah, but I think 2021 is going to be very exciting for, doubling the amount of factories, and Giga Shanghai is ramping like crazy. Did you guys see the article that Giga Shanghai wants to produce a 25K model by next year?
I saw that.
I did see that. Yes,
That's pretty ambitious, seeing how they don't even have Model Y production completely up to speed in Shanghai. So
Yes. I mean, it's on schedule. They reached their timeline.
Optimism.
Uh-oh.
How many times do I need to teach you
I'm
this
not
lesson,
budging on
old
Shanghai.
man?
Shanghai was ahead of schedule twice now. So
if anybody could pull it
them
off, it'll be Shanghai.
Shanghai knows how to do this stuff. So
But-
any timeline they've put forward, they have met or exceeded with Shanghai. So I'm not doubting them.
I will.
You're gonna
I will
tweet,
say I hope
you're gonna
you're right.
text me
I
telling
hope
me
you're
you're gonna cry. You're gonna be like, you were right again, Randy. No, I'm not predicting on this one. I think I actually believe, across the pond, they're like they are very. They're very punctual.
They're already working on phase 3. I'm keeping up with the drone shot
Yeah,
videos.
those
They're
guys-
already scaping out the next phase, and Model Ys are cranking out like crazy. And they were like super cheap. They were way cheaper than people thought the Model Y was going to be, and they got insane amount of orders in the first day. So Shanghai's crushing it. And if they're already working on phase 3 and now they're filing paperwork that they want to have a 25K model out by
That's so
next
cool.
year, then
That'd be so exciting.
I believe it. I'd buy it. I wouldn't buy the car, but I buy the report.
Yeah, I didn't know what you meant by
Sounds
that. It's like,
crazy.
whoa, you're gonna buy a $25,000 Chinese.
What if they made them in China but shipped them here?
Ooh.
Would that
And you
save
have to
them
pay
a
the
lot of
sales
money?
tax?
Would be terrible. Oh my!
I
goodness.
know.
Really? I mean, what isn't built in China that we already buy
But
between
the vehicle,
iPhones
but
and
the
watches and
The Model
the
3.
vehicle market is tariffs are very individualized. Like there's different tariffs for the price of importing eggs in different countries, and like every little random item you can think of has a different tariff code. And the vehicles, the reason why you don't see many pickup trucks from external countries, most of the pickup trucks are built in, even the Toyotas, they're built here in the United States. The reason
Mexico.
why is because, or with NAFTA, what's it called now? Anyway, the free trade agreement. Anyway, they don't import because it's like a 27% or something crazy tariff that's like just a tax that the importer has to pay. So your car ends up costing a quarter as much, which is.
let me do the math. Wouldn't be that bad if we're talking 25
I mean, okay.
times
27
1.25.
Yeah, sure.
Still a $31,000 Tesla is better than anything you can get right now.
I guess. Wow.
If it's
okay.
brand new,
if
iron
it's
phosphate.
Okay. All right. You sold me, Drew. Dang it. Wow. Even with a 25% tariff, it'd still be a really good deal. That's kind of cool.
That's what gets me excited for it. I mean, we talked to Mike before. He doesn't think they're going to build Model 2 in the U.S., at least initially. And they're just going to focus on the crossover and Cybertruck market, which sucks because I happen to live in the U.S. So that means a 25K Tesla timeline might depend on where you're located. Berlin might get it. I'll go ahead and say Berlin's going to get it before we do, probably. And because the EV market's so competitive there, they're going to rush it there. Whereas in the U.S., they can argue like, most popular vehicles people are buying are pickup trucks and SUVs. So as long as we're building those and they're price competitive, who needs a 25K vehicle in the U.S.? Like, I do, but yeah.
I was talking to some people in Ireland the other day, and they were telling me about their road situation. And their roads are only like 6 feet wide. Like in some points less than 6 feet wide for a lane. And
we call that a path
we
here.
call that a path here because the standard U.S. standard highway lane size is 12.5 feet wide.
Or a trail.
12.5 feet wide. So basically our one lane is two of their lanes. And it's just like, okay, well, now I see why you'd never think the Cybertruck could work. Because they have very compact cars. There's a...
because the Cybertruck's 10 feet wide.
Like the Cybertruck... The guys were like, yeah, the Cybertruck just would take up both lanes. Like, there's no way you can drive
Putin.
that here. Wide Putin.
Move, gentlemen. Get out the way.
This is the most American thing. Get out of my way.
Get out of my way. That's funny.
Yeah. No, people have disagreed with me, but I think Tesla, similar to how they changed their mind with the standard range Y, I think they might change their mind in Berlin on what vehicle they build next. Because right now, if you check investor relations, their plan is, build out Model Y assembly line and start producing those. And then when that's done, they're going to work on Model 3. My guess is that they're going to just decide, instead of Model 3, let's work on that European style hatchback that's more small and compact and just go straight to the cheaper one because that's more competitive with the EV market there and things like the Renault or the cheaper EVs of that demographic. They'd rather just shortcut straight to that because they can import Model 3s from Shanghai. They've already been doing that there. And Model Ys are probably better than the 3s anyway, so most people want to buy the Y in the first place. So if you're going to do something alongside the Y, might as well just go cheap and go practical. And Europe needs that, compact design for their road systems and parking spaces. So
no, what Europe needs to do is expand their roads.
Yeah, that's easy.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
You take
their
one
cities are
Cybertruck.
so old, they can't just,
True.
They weren't designed with roads in mind, or for cars.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
The cities are older
Where we're
than
going, we
our
don't
country.
need roads.
There's a lot of buildings in Europe older than the United States. So
Yeah, there are many buildings.
many.
There are thousands and thousands and thousands of buildings
Yes.
older than our country.
Right.
They're probably going to outlive it.
We dictate how the world runs with vehicles. Huh. Lucky. Fortunate.
Well, maybe Giga Berlin will have more say on the matter once they have their own design studio and everything. I want to question your guys' interpretation of something they said at Battery Day, because I have now gotten into debates with people on how to interpret it.
Okay.
But Drew and Elon were saying about the 25K Tesla that they expect it to come out in around 3-ish years. So I'm not debating 3. I understand you could round that up or down. Okay, 3.5, maybe 2.5, somewhere in the fluctuation of 3-ish. So they're not super confident on the timeline. But did you take that as in 3-ish years there will be a Tesla that starts at 25K, or in 3-ish years there will be a model we're designing with an eventual roadmap to 25? Because similar to the Model 3, when they unveiled it, they said it was going to start at 35K and the first deliveries are end of 2017. And they were at the end of 2017, but the 35K model wasn't until 2019. Ooh. And that's personally how I think it's going to go. I think that 3-ish years from now, there is a Model 2, but it's either the long range or performance, and it's like 35K. And they're like, well, eventually there will be a standard range cheaper version for 25K in another 2 years.
Think of the Model 3 and the Model Y and how it was announced and then what we got. And I feel that I think it's the latter of the two. I think it's going to repeat.
Me too.
Because I think it's good marketing to buy them time, because in 3-ish years, they're not going to be. They're not, They will use all the time that they can get to reduce costs and everything like that. I think they will have in 3-ish years. Here's what we're working on, and then by X amount of time, it will eventually get down to this cost. And then there's that. Whether it's whether it's another 2 years afterwards or what have you remains to be seen. But I don't think we will get the $25,000 one in 3-ish years. I think it will be longer than that, because I think overall focus isn't on that right now. I would suspect, after the first hype in the wave of Cybertruck being out, that they will adjust accordingly with Cybertruck, since it's already been announced. Like, you got Cybertruck and you got Roadster that people are anticipating and waiting, and I think they're going to focus on those before focusing, here's something else we're working on, and then we're going to try to bring that cost down. I think that's like on the back burner of prioritizing what should happen in sequence. Do
you agree, Nick, or did you have any other theories?
So I think the $25,000 Model 2, or whatever it's going to be called, is going to be a lot harder for them to get to than I think anyone realizes outside of Tesla. I think the Tesla engineers have a fairly good idea of how big the problem is. But basically what you have to do is you have to make the car cheaper than $25,000. And if you look out on the regular gas car market, which, you know, has had hundreds of years of, maybe not hundreds, but 100 years.
800. Yeah.
800 years making the efficiencies in manufacturing. They can barely sell a car for under $20,000. A brand new, I think one of the cheaper cars out there is like a Nissan Versa or something, and that's like 19 or 18,000 or something. And
I think it's 17.
17? Okay. Well, you get
it's hard to tell.
You get one tire.
Go to those dealers; they've got a million prices everywhere. It's
true,
like...
and I'm talking new cars, right? So obviously,
yeah, new, not used.
Yeah, but they have a problem even getting. Most car manufacturers, like Ford, doesn't have a car in the U.S. that's less than $20,000. You know, Nissan does. I looked at some point.
I don't know much about it.
In 2016, I was looking for a cheaper new car. And the Nissan Versa.
The Nissan Versa is the cheapest vehicle by like a lot.
So like,
You
All
get
that to
crank
say-
windows and stuff, but I mean,
You have a new
Cheapest.
car. Yeah, I think
The engine's
Toyota's
new.
Yaris was about 20,000, if I recall. So is the Prius C. I think the Prius C was anyway. Like there are some cheap options, but the amount of time and perfection of their assembly lines and manufacturing methods that it took to get that down to that low price, that's pretty impressive. And with the Nissan Versa, you're getting crank windows. With the Yaris, you're getting a 2-seater, right? Yaris's are 2-seater, I think. Like, these are very cheaply made cars.
Yaris is not a 2-seater. It could be.
It's a 2-door
coupe.
though.
It can be. There's a 4-door Yaris.
Okay. Well, I'm talking about the cheaper options. But
I get what you mean.
to make it down to that $25,000 mark, they're going to really have to make the car very cheaply, because the batteries and the motors aren't going to be that much. They can't reduce the price that much. They can make it fewer kilowatt hours. Then the range is going to go down. But the
that's where
powertrain-
4680 comes in.
Yeah, okay, with those
Yeah.
improvements, but still, that's going to be a very big, significant piece of the price. And instead of in the Yaris or the Versa, instead of throwing a 6-cylinder engine, they just throw in a 4-cylinder engine, and that's cheaper because it's less metal and easier to make because they have it all efficiently designed. And I think Tesla will be able to do it at 25,000, but I think it's going to be a lot of work, and I don't think us in the EV community really realize how much effort's going to have to be put into that $25,000 car. Because I mean, you watch Sandy Monroe tear down a Model Y, and he's like, oh well, these little sprockets cost 8 cents, and the ones I'm talking about cost 4 cents, and that's like to me, the difference of 8 and 4 cents is like 4 cents. And so,
who cares?
But to Tesla, these scales, and when their margins are going to be quite thin on this product, keeping every single component as cheap as possible is going to be pretty important. So
Yeah.
it'll happen, but
Well.
it'll be interesting.
Yeah, I think that's where the key of having the price per kilowatt hour comes in. That's the biggest thing. So obviously, like they said at Battery Day, they can only do this with the 4680 and the structural battery pack and the Gigapress and casting presses. So minimizing the amount of parts, simplifying the design even more so than they already have, and seeing the Model 3 and Y get things like the heated steering wheel. And something I forgot to bring up is the standard range Model Y comes with premium interior.
Really?
Which I didn't realize.
notice that.
I did realize, but I didn't think I didn't expect that. I thought they were going to do like they did with the standard range Model 3 and do like a crappy audio and you don't get the premium connectivity for a year and that kind of thing. But the cheapest Model Y still has that, which is interesting. But when it comes to that partial premium interior stuff, that's when you're really going to see Tesla go stringy with the 25K Tesla. No heated steering wheel, no bells and whistles, no special perks, and
No wireless charging, maybe 1 or 2 USB-C
yeah, maybe
ports.
no. Yeah, I was just looking at the
I wouldn't be surprised
Chevy
if they made the
Spark.
display smaller too, like a 10-inch display.
I wouldn't
or
be
something.
surprised, but I don't want them to.
I don't
feel
want
like
them to either, but like every
that's-
penny counts.
I don't know. I feel like
I don't know if making a small display would that amount to anything production.
Maybe it just has an iPad mount. You're supposed to bring your own iPad.
well, yeah.
I
Like,
would rather
isn't there a certain metric? Yeah, put it in the smart connector and everything.
Oh.
Bring your own display. Oh man, I want that
It'd
so
be
bad.
BYOD.
cheaper. Ooh.
I don't think they can sell it like that, but
That would be cool.
they'd be like, we put an iPad on there, and then you can pull it off and sell it.
that's so cool.
Just drive around without a display.
I'm looking at 10 cheapest new cars for 2021. What I found was the Chevy Spark, which is just under $15K.
Oh,
and
okay. Well, I stand
has a
corrected.
7-inch display and CarPlay even, which is funny. But
Wow, okay.
yeah, I mean, I don't know how accurate this article is. It could be off, but that could be like if you find a nice dealer.
Nissan has
Anyone you
theirs,
buy this from is gonna-
14,950 for a manual transmission Versa.
Ugh,
Can you
Okay.
guys drive manual?
No,
I've done it once. I didn't
I've
like
done it a couple times too, but I've only
Suckers.
stalled it about 80 times.
I prefer manual
If I
transmission.
needed to in a pinch, I could, but I despise it. I was annoyed by it. I don't like driving my car now, and it's an automatic. So adding more steps, it's like, do you want to drive with 4 limbs? It's like, no. I want to drive with no limbs if possible. I would just let the car do everything. Yeah. But, yeah, I think I agree with you that it's going to be tough. And I'm also speaking about the American market. Doing the cheapest Tesla in Shanghai makes total sense for how low operating costs are there and how quickly they can, they've got the Model Y factory up and running, so they're done there. So they're going to need some new plot of land to start throwing steel at soon. That's what Giga Shanghai does best, is pour buildings out of trucks and just, okay, there, we're up. What are we working on next? Now what? So if they've got a new facility that they can start building right now, then the idea of getting that vehicle out by end of 2022, I'd say pretty believable. And then Berlin next and America last, because America spends big money on cars. So Tesla's going to appreciate that market trend. And
I wonder if there's going to be
I think
market of people buying, the Model 2 in another country and then importing it in. I could see that being a small niche business for, a little while. Because
maybe countries that are too far away from any Gigafactory, like Australia, they're not going to build a factory there.
No,
probably too small. But
Tesla wouldn't natively import. What you were just saying, Tesla probably wouldn't want to import a $25,000 car to the U.S. market, because why would they when they could get everyone to buy a $35,000 car?
True.
So I think there'll be a market of people who, buy them in other countries and import them and pay the $6,000 tariff on it. And
I feel like Tesla would like to get to the point of circumventing that, just to, if we were to believe, which I do, Elon's vision of make affordable cars that are economically friendly to the environment, stuff like that, and making them as cheap as possible here in the United States is just as important as doing it internationally as well. I would like, if we could cut out the middleman as a whole and with imports, that makes me happy because of the experience that of how quickly I was able to just get an American made car to me as quickly as it was, and it just felt, I don't know, it felt cleaner. I had pride. I had pride in look at me supporting an American business. There's a whole experience with it, and I feel like when you deal with imports, it's it's a necessary process when it comes to many. Every iPhone is imported. It is what it is, and it doesn't take away from the experience. But knowing made in America and all that stuff, there's that sentimental value where it's I want to be proud of something American made, even if it's the same company and they're just happen to do manufacturing just across the water. There's that sense of pride still. It's look, we're self-sufficient in-house right here on our own land, and it feels empowering. Hey, look what we're able to do, and all because it wasn't over the water at cheaper costs and stuff like that. I like the idea of make it cheap here too, the same way you already plan on doing it for everywhere else anyway, and you get that patriotism involved with it as well, which I feel like as an American, especially nowadays, we could use more patriotism. And
if the quality control is good, I would agree.
I think,
but if China's making a much better, more well-built vehicle, but the Fremont ones are coming out with all these issues, then I don't really need that American pride as much. I'll take
I think
better
that
built.
I think we'll get to the point, maybe foolishly, that we'll have the McDonald's model where it's all the same no matter where you go, including production issues.
With Giga Texas, I think so.
But it's gonna be the same everywhere.
I think Texas will be much better quality control.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. I can't wait for Texas, man. I'm so excited. I'm genuinely just excited to see this come to life and them just the output.
I'm pretty confident it'll be operational this year. I'm confident now that it won't be producing Cybertrucks, but I'm confident that they'll be done within the 2021 timeframe and pumping out Model Ys, But yeah, I'm very confused. Left to pick your guys' brain on it. So we've got standard range, long range performance Model Ys coming out of Fremont.
Okay.
And they're all shipping with 2170 cells from Giga Nevada or whatever. But if they're planning on, and of course, assuming they're on schedule with Giga Texas being around Q3, maybe Q4 when it comes online and they can start pumping out Model Ys with the 4680s, how do they make that transition for the American market to be like, okay, we have Fremont mass producing all these 2170 cell Model Ys, but now we've got a new factory that's going to start producing 4680 cell Model Ys. Do we just shut down Fremont as soon as Texas comes online, or do we have people on the East Coast get better range than people on the West Coast? Like,
I don't think that one will happen. I don't think
No, me neither.
Regional locations
I
is
doubt
going to
that.
dictate
Yeah.
that.
Maybe those
I
have
don't-
more
but I
options.
don't-
Start selling
Maybe.
the Fremont ones for cheaper, and you know, or maybe actually probably selling the newer cell technology for more. That's probably more like there you go.
That
sounds
might make more
like
sense.
it. Yeah.
But just be like, Fremont sucks, so here's a discount.
No, I think maybe you'll get a we'll finally deviate from the here are your 5 color options, here are your 3 battery options, and with all wheel or rear wheel pick, and that's it. I think at that point more options will just be available, more different price ranges in between the already established prices. And these are the prices for the ones that we have now, and now we're gonna have these newer ones. It's gonna go up a little bit more, but you get better range. And I think hopefully, I don't think they'll just shut it down. That's ridiculous. But I do think with that integrating and more options, it is my hope that they give people more choices. And it might be tedious, but knowing how clean and easy it is on the website to just like pick your model, like maybe it's fluid, like right about there. Okay, here you want this one, and then they'll bring out different exterior colors again, and just let you build your own with more modularity than here are your 3 options.
I don't think so.
Here are your 5 colors.
I really love the fact that there are only 3, main price tiers on the Model Y. There's some configuration with the wheels and colors, but it's either standard range, rear-wheel drive, whatever, and then long range, and then performance. There are 3 of them. I know my Tesla stuff. I'm looking.
I counted 4.
It's
You
just
count
which do you
4.
want to prioritize? Do you want to prioritize price,
Yeah.
range, or performance?
Exactly.
That's really all it's asking.
Very
you.
simple.
Yeah.
And I'd like that because when they initially announced the Model Y, I think there were 5 or 6 different variants that they were originally talking about. There was like a
It was about 4, I
chart.
think.
There
It
were-
was
I think
standard
there were 5.
range, long range rear-wheel drive, long range all-wheel drive, and performance.
Okay. All right.
That one.
Well, I'm happy that they're whittling it down. If we get it down to just one option, as Henry Ford would say, if you want you can have any color Model T you want, as long as it's black.
Mm-hmm. As long as
Yeah,
it's black.
I think this is one of the cases where
Like my
minimalism is a good idea.
Wow.
You should have
Wow.
the. It's a vehicle. It's a tool. It's a.
But I don't understand how your option thing would work. Like, if you get a certain color, you get 4680 cells?
No. I'm bringing in, like, I would like them to ultimately give you more customization with colors again. I think that was cool.
Okay.
That was a whole separate thing. Disregard the color thing.
Okay.
What I'm more focused on is based off the different batteries now. So you got the 2 different battery cells, and people obviously is like, oh, I want the newer ones. Like, hey, that's going to come at a cost. But they're not just going to shut down Fremont. They shouldn't.
So you think they'd start the 4680s on like just the performance and long range Model Y, but then keep doing standard range at Fremont for a while?
For a while, and then start with the top. Do what they've been doing with every. They start with the expensive first, and then bring it down, bring it down, and start with the top at Texas, and then over time integrate. But in the meantime, for us buying, if that means more than 3 options for the car, then so be it. I don't want hey, here's you get one car, Model Y, or you get a Model 3, and what it is what it is. I don't agree with that one, because everything is not all software. It's not software locked. It shouldn't be, because that's I just fundamentally I don't agree with that. Give you the options based off of what you're willing to spend. How much are you willing to buy, and what's your range? And like it's more modular of performance, battery, or standard. But now we have subcategories of them. It's not. I don't think it's so stressful and overwhelming that I can't believe there's more than 3. I think it's like, all right, I want this one and I want to pay $30,000.
What would the other options be, though?
Meaning, with the batteries?
Yeah, what other battery options could they have?
Well, are we talking about the new batteries?
Well, yeah, if you've got Fremont pumping out 3 different variants, and then Giga Texas comes online. I don't know which one they're planning on building first over there, but
here's how it happens. We have Giga Texas comes online. They start producing performance Model Ys with new battery tech. That will give the performance Model Y a much better range than the long range Model Y, which they'll have to rename to the dual motor standard.
So it just becomes the best Model Y.
Exactly. and that if you have the $60,000 to get the performance, and maybe they even increase the price a little, justifying the range has doubled or nearly doubled or whatever. Then that's the car you get if you want the best latest technology. But Fremont is still working on the other ones, and after they hit supply equilibrium with the performance, then they'll roll it out to the long range, and they'll make that one have a really good range on par with the performance, slightly better than the performance. And then that'll be the car you get if you have $50,000. And then if you don't have $50,000, you're going to have to wait all the way till it trickles all the way down to the standard range. So I think they're going to keep those 3 categories. I do like the 3 categories.
Okay.
I imagine
that sounds believable to me.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Glad I'm believable.
That theory sounds right, of starting it with the high price, kind of like how the Plaid Model S is going to have 4680 cells. That's this year. Oh my God.
Whoa! Everyone, do not buy a Model S right now. I don't care how much money you have. Don't buy it.
How much Osborne did they cause by that announcement?
Just a ton.
I
The
love
maximum amount.
It's not a full show until we bring up the Osborne. Wait, what?
So I think our show is going to cause some Osborne on Model Y performance then. Sounds like if Nick's theory is correct, we should be getting a 4680 cell Model Y coming out of Texas later this year.
That would be awesome.
And as we know, Nick is always correct.
That's correct. Very much so. Oh, something I forgot to bring up. I think Tesla should do another capital raise.
Wow, again.
Thoughts?
Okay.
Well, with the stock
Let
price
me pull up their balance sheet
like
real
this,
quick.
I think you're right.
you know how much money they could make with such little dilution right now?
Yeah. No, I think you're right. I agree.
They've done it 3 times last year, and now they've had another insane rise.
Year to date, because then they do it in January?
It might have been January. Yeah.
I think. They did it right before everything just went to, crap. So.
I was looking at the price. They went up 96% in the last 3 months.
Woo!
Wow.
I don't know what the price is when this episode goes live, so don't hate me if it's tanked, lost half its value. But either way, they've gone insanely high just in the past couple months. So I would say, if this many people are buying into it, raise some capital, pick out another Tulsa. They wanted a factory. Give them a factory. We need that cathode facility from Battery Day. Or he said eventually we're going to put one on the East Coast. Yeah, just start, build it now. Hire some other, if you're going to build a Gigafactory on the East Coast, you're not stealing construction time from Giga Texas. That's a completely different assembly, different area with different construction workers. So just, I don't know, pick another do another one in China for all I care. I just raise some capital and be like, cool, free factory. Done.
There you go. I agree.
Give me about another 30 seconds here. I'm taking a look at their balance sheet.
Okay. On that note, China should probably get the next Gigafactory.
I say, yeah. They got the real estate. They got the space.
Well, they got the most people too. There's the thing. It's like they have the larger car market compared to the U.S. or Europe. So
they do.
Makes more sense if they can't keep up with Model Y demand right now because of how many orders they're getting.
Yeah, I think China. Yeah, China should get another one. And yeah, No, I don't disagree. I it's not that I like. We're putting one in Texas. We got the Fremont one. I think like America's good. Let's now look. Let's look at the bigger map and where
For
can
now.
yeah. Let's put one right next to let's put it Beijing right there.
That's exactly the city I was going to suggest. I was like,
Really?
you got one more on the southern coast, so now you could put one more closer to the capital.
Let's
That way
do
it
Beijing.
covers that. There's so many people there on that side.
Right.
It's like the most heavily densely populated place on Earth. So
Yeah.
you're going to need some EVs there. Makes
Yes,
sense.
right. Might help. Will help with that smog just a little.
Yeah, they got the HEPA filters in the Model Y over there, which they need it more than anybody.
Yes, they do. Yeah.
Bioweapon defense mode. I'm glad that came to more cheaper models. That's something you might not see in the 25K Tesla.
Probably not. But
I was in other news, the cheapest car I told you guys about earlier does not have cruise control. So
wow. Oh wait. Oh, you mean the Chevy?
yeah,
Oh, okay.
the one under 15K
Yeah.
does not come with cruise control. So yeah, they're skimping pretty hard there.
I don't think they need to do a capital raise.
Why is that?
It can't. It fundamentally wouldn't hurt, but there's not much of a reason to do it besides
Is there a reason not to do
grabbing
it?
cash. There isn't a good reason not to do it, and that's why I wanted to pull up the
Okay.
balance sheet here.
Okay. That was my logic.
Their liabilities right now, total liabilities, is only $28 billion in comparison to $45 billion in assets.
Okay.
So I would say, I've been told in accounting classes and stuff that the best way to do a capital raise, you want to make sure you're covering your current liabilities with cash. And that enables you to survive a pandemic or the year 2021.
That'll happen.
Like that would ever happen. But at the same time, you don't want to have all of your cash just sitting in a bank account. You want to make that working and working for you somehow. But still having liquidatable assets is good to be able to cover those current liabilities. Yeah. As of their quarter three, the reason why it was taking me so long to pull it up because I thought we already had quarter four statements out, but I guess not. So
later
three,
this month.
Yeah, later this month, I guess. Yeah, it is only the beginning of January. Those poor accountants are fixing everything up. They only have $1.7 billion in cash and cash equivalents, which is lower than I would expect with a company with $45 billion in assets. That's roughly 2% in cash. Oh, sorry, probably like 3 or 4%. Which wouldn't really cover their immediate liabilities or current liabilities of $13 billion.
Right.
So I could see why it might be a nice idea to raise cash, but at the end of the day, they're using their liabilities correctly. The liabilities that I'm seeing here is $4 billion in accounts payable. Sorry, $3.2 billion in accounts payable. I was on the wrong line. $3.2 billion in accounts payable. And you actually do want to use accounts payable to your advantage as a business. If someone is willing to extend you credit, then that means you can hopefully sell the vehicle and get the cash from that vehicle before you have to pay the supplier for your parts. That's like the ideal supply chain where your suppliers are giving you 60 days, 90 days to pay, and you're able to turn those raw materials into a final product, sell it, get the cash from the customer before you have to pay your supplier. That enables you to operate on, this is good debt. So their accounts payable, I'm not worried about that. I would recommend them not to pay that off. Like that's using your capital wisely. I'm not really seeing any current liabilities here that should be paid off. Now, they do have some long-term liabilities. They have a very general other long-term liabilities of $3 billion. But at the end of the day, those are long-term liabilities. Like, Tesla is in such a good financial position as of Q3 2020 that I don't think there's a big need for them to raise capital right now. Now, they can.
Okay.
There's really, especially they're so high right now, there wouldn't be much dilution involved, which is good for current investors who don't want their stocks to become less valuable. But you almost run into a point where, and I know Tesla's not close to this really, but you could run into the point if you are selling treasury stocks this frequently that you could run into like a Nikola type situation where it appears to the market that you're only in it to cash out. Your company's only there to cash out on the hype stock price. And there's a little bit of psychology that goes into finances as everything, and also investments. But when a company or a CEO sells their stocks, that's almost them saying that they think in the back of their mind, they can't say it out loud because of the SEC, but that's kind of an indicator that that person or individual or company doesn't think that the stock is going to be more valuable in the future. Because if Tesla is selling their, what's Tesla's trading at right now, Randy?
780? No, 8. It just went up. It's over 800 right now.
867.
Okay. So
After
around,
market.
around
We're recording on Saturday.
Yeah.
If this goes live on Monday, we don't
it's
know.
going to change. Yeah. So around $800.
It'll be different.
If they're looking to do some kind of a stock sale at about $800 a share, that's basically saying to the market that Tesla doesn't think it will be worth $1,200 shortly, right? If Tesla knew that they had something big that was right around the corner, they're not going to do a stock issuance. So I don't know. I don't think there's really any downside to it, because that issue really isn't a problem with Tesla right now, because they've raised this would be the 4th time if they did that in the past couple months.
Well, they did 3 last
year, and this would be the 4th.
And the stock's only gone up since then.
Yeah,
so,
and I'm not saying they're in that position, but other companies find themselves in that position very quickly.
Sure.
So I don't think there's a reason not to, but I don't think they need to. End of speech.
Okay, fair enough. I think it would just help accelerate another factory. I mean, if you're worried about
but
public
I'll be honest,
opinion.
Nick changed my mind. I was like, do it.
I don't know. They've raised a lot of capital, and it hasn't had much negative backfire yet, in my opinion, and they've been able to use that capital on whatever factory they're working on at the time. So I think if you can get away with it 3 times and the stock is still on a rise, you want to dilute when you're having insanely high growth in a short period of time. That way it doesn't. You don't want to do it if the stock's rapidly declining. So right now, because they're having such rapid incline, that's what I'd say. Yeah, capitalize on this while you can, and then market will peter out. They're in the S&P now, so it can be a lot more stable than when they did their last.
And again, I'm only looking at their balance sheet from Q3. So if Elon and the team has some big plans where they do need lots of money, then that would be a good use for a capital raise. Instead of debt financing that, they could equity finance that, which is preferable in every way. If they're looking at building a Giga Tulsa and a Giga Beijing, and they're looking at $10 billion worth of expenditures, they could easily go and take out debt for that, no problem. People would love to loan them, get Tesla bonds, but if they could do it on equity, that would be preferable. So if that's what they're doing, then I'd be fully in support of that. But I don't know what their plans are, I guess.
No, I don't either. But we'll see.
Giga Beijing.
Giga Beijing. That's the next step. Yeah, I don't know how busy it is there, or how many cars are built there, but somewhere else in China, because they need it. They're probably more than
they did India?
America.
Giga India. They could kind of get a little bit
I think they've said they want to enter the Indian market this year. I mean, they've wanted to enter it for several years, but there were some officials from India or whatever saying they're meeting with Elon and they plan on. The trick with India is that it's not as similar of a car market as China or the US. So if they are going to enter it, they got to enter it with something else. I don't think, from interviews I've seen, Hyperchange interviewed, I'm sorry, I'm blanking on his name, but he interviewed a guy from India that's a big Tesla fan and talked about the Indian auto market, and basically just said, if you came to India and started trying to sell everyone Model Ys and 3s, no one would care. There would be a very rich 1% that might buy a few, but it wouldn't be for most of the market. So I would almost say maybe if you're going to go into India, do it as soon as possible. But if you're going to do it, start with the 25K super affordable version. Yeah. Don't bring the Model 3 or Model Y there, or, well, at least at first. You can bring it later, but don't make that the primary vehicle. Don't make that the starting one.
Introducing like mopeds and stuff, because they have big cities that are struggling with pollution over there, and offering electric transportation. You know, I know Elon doesn't like motorcycles, but I think mopeds are slightly more safe than a motorcycle.
Sure. No, you gotta make what suits the market best. So, you know, Elon doesn't like under 250-mile range EVs, but they come forward with the 244-mile Model Y. So sometimes you're just like, hey, this is what the market is into, and I still think the standard range Y is going to sell great. They probably released it because of the ID4 and the Mach-E coming out, and they were just like, that's fun. Boom! Take that, Ford. Oh, you have a cheaper crossover. You're losing money on it. What if we bam? So whatever makes sense for the market. In the India market, it would probably make sense to make more, you know, rickshaw or motorcycle type things made by Tesla. I'd be curious to see what those would look like or how they would design them. But yeah, it's a huge market, a lot of people. So getting there soon is, I'd say, pretty important. They need it. They need more zero emission stuff.
What about? I don't know. What about like
I don't
Africa?
know.
I know. What about I don't know? What are your thoughts on I don't know, Drew? I'm very curious. What about Africa, Australia? You know, the Polynesian islands. Like their vehicle market is a whole lot smaller. But as we're looking at Tesla wanting to expand into other places, at some point they're going to start running out of, you know, they could do one in Berlin, they could maybe do one in Istanbul or something, but like after a certain point you're going to saturate your home markets and you're going to look for other places. Do you think there'd be enough demand in, I don't know, Australia to support maybe a smaller version of a Gigafactory, maybe a half mega factory?
Just a mega factory.
Yeah, or Africa too,
or a kilo factory.
Yeah.
It's a fairly small,
Kilo
you know, there's more people in
California.
Two guys building vehicles. There's more people in California than all of Australia.
Yeah.
So and it's on I said it's an island, and a bunch of people got mad at me because apparently it's not an island.
It's a continent.
But you can be a continent and an island. I don't understand why that's so complicated.
Well, then we're all on islands.
Surrounded by water.
Every single one of us, we're on an island too.
No, I'm saying it's surrounded by four.
So is
Europe,
North America.
Europe
South
isn't
America.
an island.
Eurasia
might be.
Eurasia is all one continent.
Earth is just one big island.
Point being,
it's
okay.
a demographic of people surrounded by water that isolates them from a larger population elsewhere.
With the Suez Canal, I think Africa would also be deemed an island.
Yep.
Sure. I mean, it's a huge island, but
so the Americas.
I mean, Australia fits the
Africa
definition a lot better. I mean, they don't have. There's a landmass. I'm saying it can be both, but point being, you couldn't easily deliver vehicles out of Australia to other demographics. So if you're building a factory just for, well, you'd have to ship them off, and then, but that costs more money, and Australia is not super close to any other huge populated areas like China or US or Europe is. So it's an awkward place to put like a mega factory that would be exporting things. I don't know. Like it would probably make more sense to build things in Shanghai and export them from there because the operating costs in China are so low. Whereas building a factory line in Australia, I don't think the operating costs would be as cheap. I don't think manufacturing there is as affordable as China.
But a small factory in, I don't know, Indonesia or the Philippines or something could export to that area via boat. I mean, their logistics networks are all boat based for the islands out there, Indonesian islands. It's all by boat. Drew, you know that from personal experience. The ferries.
Oh yeah, but I know there's not a ton of factories there for a reason too. Yeah. And they have a lot of stuff imported from places with supply chains.
Their singularity's single purpose is to make more gigafactories. Then at some point we're going to have to turn every square inch and every atom of the universe into a gigafactory. So,
yeah, but there's a reason they chose Berlin for the European factory and not London, right?
True. Yeah.
because Berlin is more central and you're more equal distant from the vast majority of places. So finding out the cheapest and most efficient way of like, where do we build them and then how can we transport them? There's like a cost to how much is it going to cost to build a factory and how large of a factory could we build in Indonesia or the Philippines compared to how much does it cost to just import vehicles from Shanghai and just deliver them there. Because that's what a lot of car companies are doing anyway. So I would probably see them doing more of that as Shanghai gets, they're going to have a design studio and they're going to design more vehicles in the future because I know from experience the Filipino market has very different vehicles than the American market. So, and probably Australia too. I bet Australia would fit different needs than the Philippines. So
Subaru's pretty popular.
Like, how can they survive a 5-foot bee? That's their needs.
yeah. They've
The
got
Cybertruck.
very different. Yeah,
Cybertruck.
they've got very different audiences.
Crocky!
I think,
It has anti-bee missiles that pop out of the vaults and it's like the Mandalorian.
yeah, I think all of next year is going to be about ramping Cybertruck.
Yeah.
I think that's what 2022's Tesla mission is going to be. It's not going to be too much 25K model next year. I think it did not help when Teslarati posted some article that was like, the secret sauce of the Cybertruck is it's how easy it is to mass produce. And Elon was like, nothing about it will be easy to produce. He responded, he was like, this will be the hardest thing to make ever. And reading that tweet made me think like, maybe they weren't expecting this type of demand. Maybe when they launched and unveiled the Cybertruck, they were like, okay, it's so weird. Probably a bunch of people won't like it. And later on, we'll start with the Cybertruck because the demand will be so low. That way we can scale the batteries
Us,
slower.
like the hungry pigs that we are.
And then everyone ordered it, and now they're like, oh, crap. We thought like maybe
Nothing about this is going to be easy.
a few thousand a year, and we could go slow and ramp up the 4680s, but then everyone reserved it. And they're like, oh, this is great. Think of all the benefits of exoskeleton stainless steel, all with the timeless design. Oh, it's so great. And they're like, oh, so you like that? We were planning on launching like a normal pickup truck in a few years, but do you think there's any chance of that? Or
A normal pickup truck?
no, I'm saying a chance that they were expecting demand to be smaller for the Cybertruck so that they could ramp into it eventually.
I think they knew it was
Honest-
going to be polarizing, but I don't think they knew
Sure.
there'd be this many people who would be polarized to like it, like myself.
Well,
Yeah.
I don't know if it's actually. It's all right now is it's just news right now. It's until we have them out, we actually don't know how well it's going to sell. It's definitely meme worthy. It's definitely newsworthy, but it's hard to say that they will fulfill orders. I wouldn't be surprised if 30% easy just cut the order. No, I'm not going to buy it. Especially like
That's still a lot.
no, it's still
Even
a
if
lot.
it's
Yeah,
50%, it's a lot.
right. But it's still half of the reservations too. Like I mean, looking at it both ways, I don't know how successful it's gonna be. It's successful for covering news. Statistically, we've proven that. But actually, like vehicles being sold, I mean, right now I don't know. I would like to think that more than half of it will be met. People will fulfill their reservations, but then I can also see the effect of like people are gonna wait. They want to see it, and they're skeptical because it's so polarized. It's like I don't know, and if everything turns out to be as great as it's hypothesized here, like here's everything that it can do and where it can go, and all that seems to meet the check marks with it. Then people are like, all right, well, I'm on board. I'll get over it. We've had enough time to let the visualization of it, like we know
Sure.
what it is. So that part is not. I don't think that's the polarizing part anymore. I think it's the fact that just the bold thing is we're coming into the market of a truck market now, which people are very, very passionate about, and if it can meet all the challenges in its way, then I think nothing about it will be easy about meeting the orders, because then people are like, all right, well then I'm gonna get it. But if it seems to not be as interesting anymore by that time, is the best way I would put it. Maybe it will temper expectations on these guys on Tesla, thinking that like, oh wow, I think it's gonna be this big. I think they knew the news was gonna be that big, but maybe the reservation part is like, oh, these are a lot of reservations. Woo, this is not gonna be easy. Oh wait, 30, 40, 50% of them come to the order. Okay, now we can only focus on this percentage. I think that might be more doable. If everybody was to buy the vehicle that they reserved, oh, they're in trouble. Like you're on a long wait
I think
list.
even if it's half, I mean, if you cut it in half, it's around 300,000 orders, which is still more than
Imagine if
Fremont
Texas,
builds of any single
yeah,
vehicle.
imagine if Texas just would have focused on Cybertruck. Imagine.
I would have believed it would have came out this year, but it's not. That's the one thing that makes me firmly believe it's not coming out this year, is because they're prioritizing the why there. I don't doubt the facility being operational. I just now doubt Cybertruck's the priority, because they want to start with the why. So because of that, yeah, all of next year is going to be about, okay, how do we make the steel and everything just right, and how do we
making me worry
ramp
about the
cells?
Cybertruck, Drew. Please.
Gives you more time to save. Just look at it that way.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Final thoughts, gents?
Air
What
power
about the Cybertruck? We have the Osborne effect. And enjoy this outro, which is not permanent.
Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.